What if the pain you're feeling right now isn't here to break you, but to build you? What if the world doesn't need to be easier, because you were meant to be stronger? This is the story of two men, divided by centuries, united by struggle. One is a modern-day athlete, abandoned and doubted. The other, a Roman soldier betrayed by the empire he served. Both face the same truth: life owes them nothing. And both choose the path of the Stoic, not by asking for mercy, but by training for strength. This is Iron in the Fire, a Stoic story about forging character in the heat of adversity. Let's begin. Rain pelted the rusted tin roof of the old gym like the drums of a distant war. Inside, under the flickering glow of a single overhead bulb, Marcus grunted through another set of deadlifts. His hands were raw. His breath came in shallow bursts. The barbell clanged against the floor like a blacksmith's hammer. He was alone again. That day, his coach had dropped him. Said he didn't have what it took. His ex had called to say she was moving on, couldn't wait for someone who might make it. And rent was due in 3 days, with nothing but a few crumpled bills in his backpack. As the storm raged louder, Marcus collapsed onto the bench and stared at the ceiling, the iron smell of sweat and desperation thick in the air. For a moment, he allowed himself to entertain the thought, why me? Why can't life be easier? Then he remembered something his grandfather used to say: don't wish it was easier. Wish you were better. It was a quote he later learned from Jim Rohn. But his grandfather had believed in it with the fire of an ancient Roman general. Life, the old man used to say, doesn't care how you feel. It only respects how you act. Marcus reached into his gym bag and pulled out a weathered book, Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. Pages were dog-eared, notes scribbled in the margins. He flipped to a section he'd marked in red: you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. He looked at the barbell again. He could quit. He could go home, complain on social media, blame the world, the economy, his parents, fate. But he wouldn't. He loaded another plate. Not because it was easy, but because he had to get better. Nearly 2,000 years earlier, in the dark belly of a Roman prison, a young man named Lucius sat in chains. His clothes were torn, his body bruised. Once a respected centurion in the Roman army, he had been accused of treason after refusing to carry out a cruel order from a corrupt official. His trial had been swift. His sentence, death. In the cell beside him, an older man coughed weakly. He had been there for weeks, a forgotten philosopher named Junius, imprisoned for speaking too boldly against tyranny. Lucius had stopped speaking days ago. Bitterness had wrapped itself around his heart like ivy choking a tree. All I did was try to do the right thing, he muttered. And this is my reward? I served Rome with honor. I led men. I fought wars. Why must I suffer like this? Junius stirred in the darkness. His voice was cracked, but steady. You speak as if the universe owes you a favor for doing your duty. Lucius turned to him. Doesn't it? A pause. Then a faint chuckle. Ah, you are still young. The universe owes you nothing, Lucius. Duty is its own reward. Lucius spat on the floor. Easy for you to say, old man. You've lived your life. Junius shifted closer to the bars that separated them. When I was your age, I begged the gods to make life easier. But life does not bend to our wishes. And I realized, what must change is not the world, but me. Lucius was silent. Junius continued. The fire tests the iron. You've been thrown into the forge, Lucius. Will you come out stronger, or break? The next morning, Marcus was back in the gym. His hands were torn open from yesterday, and he hadn't eaten since noon. He stood at the mirror, studying his reflection, not his body, but his eyes. There was a quiet fury there now. Not anger at the world, but at his own past weakness. He remembered when he was 15, whining because he had to bike to school. When his friends had better shoes. When his father left and he cried for days, thinking life had cheated him. But what had those tears built? Nothing. His grandfather's words echoed again, steel sharpens steel. That day, Marcus trained with no music, no distractions. Just pain and presence. He tracked every rep like it mattered, because it did. The gym became his battlefield. His penance. His classroom. He stopped asking why life was hard. He started asking, what can I learn from this? In the Roman courtroom, Lucius stood tall as his sentence was read. Execution by sword. At sunrise. But he didn't flinch. Instead, he bowed his head, not in surrender, but in contemplation. The night before, Junius had whispered something that clung to him like armor: you cannot control the blade, but you can control your bearing as it falls. Lucius had reflected on the lives he saved by refusing that cruel order. The innocent villagers spared. He thought of his comrades, some who had perished in battle, others lost to ambition or corruption. And he made peace. When the guard came to fetch him, Lucius asked for a single request: to write. The guard, curious, granted it. By torchlight, Lucius scrawled a letter, short but powerful. Not to plead for mercy, but to encourage his younger brother. He wrote, "Life will not wait for your convenience. The days ahead will be hard. They should be. So become harder. More disciplined. More just. Do not pray for ease, brother. Pray for strength. And earn it." That letter would survive for decades. Passed hand to hand. Read aloud in camps and forums. Whispered before battles. Months passed. Marcus didn't become a champion overnight. He lost more matches than he won. Slept on floors. Took jobs loading boxes just to buy oats and eggs. But every failure was a lesson. He stopped comparing himself to others. Instead, he kept score only by one question: am I better than yesterday? He built discipline like a fortress, brick by brick. While others partied, he trained. When others complained, he journaled. He studied Epictetus and Seneca like blueprints for the soul. Eventually, sponsors noticed. A coach saw the fire in his eyes. Not the talent. The fire. The refusal to break. Years later, Marcus stood under the bright lights of a national tournament. Not because fate had smiled on him, but because he had forged himself in the furnace of resistance. Backstage, someone asked him, "What's your secret?" Marcus smiled. "Stop wishing for mercy. Start training for strength." The Stoics never asked for life to be gentle. They didn't bargain with fate or curse the heavens when storms came. They built ships to ride the waves. Don't wish it was easier. Wish you were better. Marcus Aurelius wrote during plagues and wars. Epictetus spoke with a crippled leg. Seneca wrote from exile, under the eye of a mad emperor. They were men hammered by life. Not destroyed, but shaped. So if today feels heavy, good. That means you are in the forge. Pick up the weight. Not just the one in your hands, but the one in your soul. Face it. train under it. Because life owes you nothing. And that's the gift. It means everything you build is yours.
Thank you so much for watching and supporting this channel. Your time, your comments, and your presence mean more than you know. I'm grateful to share these stories and ideas with you, and we're just getting started. Stay strong, stay grounded, and keep showing up. Please, subscribe, like, and share.